Yeah.
And we are live for a very special Sunday morning episode on the Panenka View podcast. Joining me today from United States of America, our very own Indian gunner, FIIOB admin, Siddharth Mehra. Siddha, how you doing? I know it's
I'm,
Saturday night.
I'm getting better. I'm getting
Um,
better. The day didn't start off very well.
just to introduce you to our very special guest, Siddharth Mehra has been an Arsenal fan for 20 years and probably seen everything from the Wenger's double double to the Invincibles to then the Emirates era, and he has a lot to offer on this episode, which is our motive: Emery era correction or crisis. And joining me from Germany is Mr. Ananyo Roy, who's been an Arsenal fan for 11 years. Hi, Ananyo. You can see.
Yeah. Hi, hi, hi.
And
Hi.
finally, we have managed to synchronize all the time zones and get on board. It's 6:30 in the morning in India, and that episode is called Sunday Morning Live. We hope to do more and more episodes with you, but getting straight to the point, getting straight to you, Siddha, first is describe your thoughts on the West Ham game.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be an easy game to play them away. Better teams have. I'm not going to say better teams because that would be wrong. Uh, Chelsea drew there. United got thrashed.
Yeah.
City won there 4-0, but West Ham had five clear chances or four clear chances where they should have scored in that game. And I think Spurs, as they've been doing early season, were just about scraped to win over there. So they have good players. They have Pellegrini, who I think is massively underrated as a manager. And after initial kind of sorting the team out, finding his best 11, he's brought them into some good form. I mean,
Yeah.
they picked
Yeah.
up Nasri, which is very shrewd. Felipe Anderson's probably the signing of the season, outside of Torreira, right?
Mm. Yeah.
And and they were always going to be trouble. But having said that, some of the way he set up the team, the way Emery set up the team today, just Ozil not even being in the squad. See, I understand, you dropping Ozil because he doesn't fit your way of playing. You don't play with a traditional number 10. You play with playmakers on the wings who cut in so that your fullbacks can advance up the pitch. But just he's our highest paid player. He signed a huge contract.
Exactly.
He's clearly part of the plan. You knew that coming in. If you put him out of the team, or you wanted to teach him a lesson, or you wanted to get him to adapt to play the way you want, then he needs minutes. And I get that he's not starting him in away games, but at least have him on the bench. I mean, what's the point? You honestly telling me that I don't even know who was on the bench today. I mean, Nketiah is always on the bench.
Yeah, Nketiah. Yeah, we
There
had
were,
Nketiah. We had Nketiah.
Yeah,
We had Ramsey. We had Bellerin. We had
we
Litz.
had 50, we had
yeah.
56-year-old Lichtenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have Bellerin, why did you could have done without Lichtsteiner, unless he thought that we would have another centre back crisis, and then Lichtsteiner would go on and
Oh my God.
and flatter a few people, point in a couple of directions. So
No,
he's
Montreal was there also.
Yeah, Montreal
Monreal.
was there. Yeah, correct.
Monreal was there. So so he got that wrong for sure. Then he kept Torreira on the bench, which is again baffling against a team like West Ham, who are strong in midfield. You have Anderson, you have Nasri, you have Noble, you have
Declan
Declan
Rice.
Rice,
Declan
right?
Rice.
And you are going in with Xhaka and Guendouzi as your pivots. And Guendouzi is massively talented. There's no doubting that. But the guy is a defensive liability. I'm sorry, he's 19 years old. We can't expect that from him. You can't expect him to go in and be stand up against that midfield and not get dominated, right? I mean,
He's actually,
yeah, you were saying?
yeah, he's actually like all over the pitch, like very little positional awareness in that sense. Like he's running across the pitch, and sometimes the most baffling thing is that he loses his runners like on a very frequent basis. Like he loses his runners and he gets into quick challenges, misses them. Even today also, I saw Anderson just cut in inside and he rushed close to him, and Anderson easily bypassed him. So he goes to challenges too quickly, doesn't wait for the right time. So, but he will learn. But he's only 19, and it's like Emery is making it that he's like the main player, but he's not. He's just a kid who was playing only less than a year back in second division of the
France.
French league.
Yeah,
So
correct.
Correct. So
it's not right. It's not right to expect anything from him, which Emery is probably expecting. I don't know. Like it's
yeah, and I don't
weird.
know what the goal was to play him and Xhaka. They would
Absolutely.
like
Yeah.
you saw the lineup, you knew they were going to get overrun, and they got overrun, right? West Ham deserved to win that game, and even if you look at stuff like the XG and stuff, we weren't in the game.
We
After the
were
six, yeah, we were after the 68th minute, we had 0 shots. I mean, you're chasing the
exactly.
game, and you aren't able to muster up even a half chance. That he got it massively wrong today. I mean, I think that he's kind of stuck between trying to fix our defense, but also play attacking football, and I don't think we have the players to do that. Right? The best teams like Man City and unfortunately Tottenham know how to defend as well as play attacking football. I think post the Wenger era, we either needed a coach who would have fixed our defense completely, but that meant giving up the offensive side of the thing, right? But then people wouldn't have been happy with that. You don't want another Mourinho. We're Arsenal. We're known for free flowing attacking football. So we didn't. We were kind of expecting that whoever comes in is going to make it less catastrophic than it was the last two seasons, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
at the same time, and at the same time, have some semblance of attacking football. I think he's stuck between the two because we've seen the defense has not improved at all. It's actually gotten worse. And,
exactly.
Yeah, the attacking has been there in flashes, and they can be, and our players can be devastating going forward. But at some point, these games are going to catch up with our players, right? There's also that, if you follow stats Twitter, they've been saying that we've been overperforming because we have finishers like Aubameyang and Lacazette, who've been kind of rescuing us from situations where we haven't been building up play effectively and stuff. But I guess that's true to a point, and some of that caught up with us today. But we have been decent attacking wise. We've created chances in almost every game except today. And we have, we played some really good games. People were kind of raving about some of the attacking play that, Iwobi has been good in flashes. Aubameyang has been excellent, even though he drifts in and out of games. But strikers like him, that you just need one moment of brilliance, right? Lacazette has been really good. I mean, he's got like 12 goals and assists. He's not got a lot of goals, but he does a lot more. So I think it's, one of the criticisms is, which I agree with, is he should have figured out his best 11 by now. That's clearly not happening.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And he needs to find a way to integrate Ozil into the team for the rest of the season. Otherwise, I really don't know what the plan is. I mean, Ramsey is going. He's gone. I mean, there's no question. Nobody should hold out hope that he'll make a U-turn or something like that. The guy's done his 10 years. He's won us 2 cups. He's been a thorough professional. All the best to him. I hope he rips it up in Serie A, which he will.
Which he will.
Win everything. I said that's where we are at the moment. It's like a limbo situation described in movies. You don't know where we are going next. And although people, I'm going to come to you, Ananyo, but let me. And as people say that Klopp was backed by the owner, where did the backing come here? It's clear that we need a centre back. It's clear that we need signings. And then your manager comes out in open and he says that we don't have the money and we are going to sign loan deals. And how does that affect the players? But We are going to do that. The stand and the investment is a later part of this episode. I'm going to go straight to Ananyo and I'm going to focus on what Siddha said about Ozil, 350K a week and not making the bench as well. Do you see there's some bust up between him and Emery, and do you see him leaving at the end of the season? Going, what's going on? What's going on right now? What's taking place?
So to answer your first question, whether there is a bust up or not, well, there is some friction. I can't deny that there is some friction. There is something which is going on, and both of them are not on the same board. I would say they are not on board on the same thing. Secondly, you asked whether he's going at the end of next season. Nah, no chance. Like unless and until someone from China comes and swoops, and still, then I think Ozil is pretty comfortable in London. Like he has a family, he has a girlfriend who is going to get married.
Oh yeah.
He's already like settled in London quite well. He's on a lovely contract. Like it was like Gazidis and Wenger's last nail in the coffin that he like put in the Arsenal coffin, in my opinion, at this moment. So Emery, in my opinion, Emery is stuck between a rock and a hard place. So, but he knew it. Like in my opinion, when he came into the job, he probably brought some dossiers and presentations he gave and blew everyone away. And everyone told that it was like Ramsey and Ozil was like integral to his plans. And what like the phrase was going on was that Emery is someone who molds his tactics to the personnel that he has, and that's why people like the board members wanted him, because they thought that okay, here is a guy who might be able to integrate both Ramsey and Ozil. 6 months down the line, we are losing Ramsey. He's gone. Still, he's one of our best players when he coming on. Ozil, he's nowhere in the picture. Now, when it comes to injuries, I'm pretty sure he had been injured. Like it's not like he's faking an injury, or he has been injury prone even last year also, and people were questioning him that I think that he's going in missing due to injuries quite frequently. It's another separate issue, which is a medical issue. But Ozil trained the whole week. Like he posted on social
Yeah.
media that I'm training.
Yes.
I'm training. It's like, as Emery said, tactical decision. So we can't help it. Like he wants to, like, in my opinion, it feels like he's trying to overcompensate for the Neymar debacle that happened. Maybe a bit too hard, and that is kind of causing a bit of detrimental effect. And in my opinion, this is also having an effect on the squad also. And I'm pretty sure because
Yeah.
Ozil is a very popular member, like
Yeah.
a very popular member.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Siddha. Anything you
Yeah.
would like to add on this?
No, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, think about the build up to this game, right? I mean, the build up to this game has been, aside from the missing out on Ozil, which we didn't know till this Ozil missing out, which we didn't know till this morning. Everyone's expectation was he'd at least make the bench. Even before that, the entire build up to the West Ham game was all about Emery saying we have no money to spend. So you think that will affect the squad? You think so? That is probably playing on the squad's mind. They know they need reinforcements. You know, you've seen some of the reactions from our players when somebody like a Mustafi makes a mistake. Like today Xhaka made a mistake.
Xhaka,
Did
yeah.
you see Leno's reaction when the goal went in? He was like exasperated. You know, you can make that out. So those guys know that they need reinforcements.
Yeah.
You know, that's playing on their mind. What he said in that press conference is playing on their mind. You can be as professional as you want, but you know that kind of stuff does affect people. And then you have like a situation where Ozil isn't even on the bench. It is bound to affect the players. This Ozil saga is affecting our strikers as well, because they know the kind of player Ozil is. He can be an issue in terms of pressing, and he can be an issue in terms of getting, you know, kind of pushed off the ball by more physical players. But he's the only mercurial player we have who can kind of, you know, produce that pass that will put a Laka through on goal, or I don't know. Yeah, Mkhitaryan can do that, but he's a little more predictable than Ozil. Ozil isn't.
Yeah.
Ozil
The thing is that Yeah, the thing is that on just pure talent, he is the most talented player in our squad. Like there is no question about it. Simply talent. Just if you look at raw talent, he is the only one that has like that talent that no one else has in that sense. So the thing is that you don't have an alternative to him. He is the only creative presence we have. And if you suddenly take him completely out of the squad mentality becomes. I will just talk about the two strikers, for example. We have two strikers who are quite good. Like Aubameyang can be wasteful, but still he produces the goals on a regular basis. And both of these strikers, they thrive on movement, so they're constantly on the move. But when they see that behind them there is Genduzi and Chaka, where are they going to move? Like it's like they don't know, where am I supposed to drop deep and create on my own, or am I going to make a run the channels or go beyond the defense? Like they are pretty sure that no one from the central region of the pitch is going to create anything for them at the final third. They are Emery's whole football has been so far just building like turning over transitions and using the fullbacks to just get cutbacks and hoping that someone gets on the end of it. Like in my opinion, it's sounding like a one trick pony for me. Like he has to like mix and match it up.
Yeah, and but that has been successful too, right? Like, I mean,
Exactly.
Man City won the league last year doing low crosses and cutbacks, guys. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
but they had like a far superior squad and they made the right investment. So, I feel like he's gotten a lot out of his new manager bounce. So after the first two defeats we had, because of the scheduling, we had that new manager bounce, new ideas, double training
yeah.
session. The players responded to that. But as with all new managers, what happens is once you see out that honeymoon phase, you hit that dose of reality in the Premier League, which usually happens around Christmas time because all these guys who we've signed are used to having a break. Emery is used to having a break at
Correct.
around.
Big change, seismic
Yeah.
Yeah, when
change.
Torreira went out of form right around Christmas. So
Right
I
around
think I
Christmas.
understand the logic of resting him against Blackpool, but he
Yeah,
should have
yeah.
started. Yeah. So
He should have
so
started.
so I mean, this is the part where he's adjusting. He's made mistakes. Unfortunately, we don't have a points buffer to let Emery make that mistake right now. Chelsea just extended their gap. If
6 points.
United win tomorrow, they'll be kind of level with us on points. They'll need to win by like 4 goals to go above us. We play Chelsea the coming
Next
weekend,
week.
so yeah, so it's not getting any easier for him. But
Correct.
I had said at the beginning of the season, this season for me is a wash. I mean, I had zero expectations of Unai Emery. I just want to see a plan in big matches,
Exactly.
and I want to see some element of change. I've seen some element of change to feel positive about, but we are at a point right now where the manager has made several mistakes tactically as well as in terms of team selection in several games, and he needs to fix that. And I think we can give him that rope to fix that. And, some of
Like
the reaction that I'm seeing today is like is completely blown out of proportion. I mean,
Yeah. Correct. Correct.
yeah.
no, the reaction is pretty much like right after the game. So it's very like raw, very like just up for the game. So some distance is needed. But coming
Yeah.
to the tactics that Emery is employing on a regular basis nowadays, I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical about the 3-5-2 or 3-4-3, whatever he's playing. In my opinion, he's probably trying to compensate for the lack of defensive awareness of Kolasinac, which is understandable, but he is losing his attacking side of the game, and at the same time the defense is not getting any better. So he's trying to be conservative without actually getting defensive results in, because he's not getting the defensive results that he wants, but he's being conservative and playing three at the back, allowing Kolasinac to push forward and hoping that he becomes our creative outlet. Now that can't be the way. You can't depend on your left wing back to provide chances week in week out. Kolasinac has a chance per 90 of 1.9, I guess, which is higher than most of our players, if I'm not wrong, I could be wrong, but he has a very high chance creation rate, and that kind of points to the fact that he's playing this very conservative three at the back, and we just don't have the personnel to play this formation 3-4-3 with Aubameyang out wide. Might as well play 4-2-3-1, which he himself is more comfortable with. And with if you play a 4-2-3-1, you have a stable pivot in Xhaka and Torreira, which worked early in the season, like worked really well. And then you play one of Ramsey or Ozil in the number 10 slot, and just at the wing positions, Iwobi can take the left wing, but in my opinion, Aubameyang should start left, Lacazette should start center, and maybe someone on the right wing. Again, we have lost Mkhitaryan, so that's an issue. But I can understand sometimes he plays one striker because we have also lost Welbeck. Like, we don't have a third striker, and Eddie Nketiah is not prepared to be that third. He's not ready to take that third striker slot, in my opinion. So I can understand when he like substitutes Lacazette or doesn't start him, but I think he needs to like get back to 4-2-3-1s. Injuries have been extremely unkind to him. Losing Rob Holding has like absolutely massacred his three at the back thing. Like, Rob Holding on the left hand side, he got the passes moving fast, he got them accurate, he got them right in the right areas, he hit the half channels. So that's a big loss.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can't expect to turn Kolasinac into Marcelo, right?
No, you can't.
And Siddharth, coming straight to you again on the need for creativity. 3-5, 3-5-2, 3-4-3, as Ananyo said very correctly. Just go with a 4-2-3-1. And Ramsey is leaving. Why not start him? Why not make take the best out of him? Use the best out of him. He's leaving. Let's go do it on a high. I know he's experimenting. I also read a comment there on Facebook, which made sense, obviously, that Arsene made so many mistakes. Emery, why can't we allow Emery to make a few? But then when you know your best 11 and when you know that you have to start these players, why are you experimenting? Like, I still feel he's overusing Gundozi. As a 19-year-old, he has to ease him in. I know he trusts him, but I know he should ease him in. And why disturb the midfield axis, Xhaka, Torreira?
Yeah,
and
that's
without Torreira, Xhaka becomes more error prone. He's error prone. Obviously, he's error prone, but he becomes more. He can't focus on his game. The defensive side, like you said, defensive liability. And we don't need that. We don't need people who are clueless in the midfield, because anything can happen, and we are losing ground. We are 6 points behind Chelsea. United might get level on points with us.
Yep.
And, seeing the next three fixtures, including the cup, we have Chelsea at home next Saturday. We have United the next Saturday in 2 weeks, and then we have Manchester City away. So it doesn't get any better for us. It gets pretty tight. It gets pretty. You never know what anything. But one thing I'm confident is that Chelsea and United come to the Emirates. So I'm hopeful there of a home result. But again, my question is the need for creativity. I'm going to come to you guys, starting with Siddha first. Need for creativity. And also, where do you see that creativity coming from? Where do you see Emery going in the transfer market or in the summer? Yeah.
So I think that's the reason we've been linked with Dennis Suarez, right?
Yeah.
He can play both wings. He can play as a six in a three-man midfield, right? Or he can carry the ball. Like, I've been watching, and obviously, as we all know, you can learn everything about a player by watching a compilation, right, on YouTube. Everyone's a scout, right? So yeah. I mean, you can see that he has the ability to carry the ball up the pitch, right? Xhaka doesn't have that. Guendouzi in the future may have that. Torreira is a little bit of everything. I mean, he's a destroyer. He can pass the ball pretty well too, and sometimes he like moves up the pitch. But he makes those like, I would say, mini Ramsey kind of runs to come into the box. He's not a ball carrier. So if we and we're trying to like solve multiple problems by loaning somebody like Suarez or loaning with an obligation to buy whatever it turns out to
Bye.
be. Buy. uh, but so I think that is an area that needs to be addressed. Now Ramsey cannot play that role, and but I think Ramsey doesn't need to play that role. If you go to a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, and in a 4-3-3, if you make Ramsey the third midfielder, then he can make those third man runs, and you'll get some goals and assists out of that. Ramsey has been really good for us this season as a substitute. He's not been that great for us while starting matches. If I'm not, he started the Liverpool game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You see how that ended up. So he becomes a little predictable when he starts games, and I think Unai hasn't figured that out yet. But I think the key is you have to find a way to integrate Ozil. Ozil can play on the left wing. He plays there. He's played there for Germany. He can play in a 3-4-3. When we were playing that, Arsene was playing that formation with three at the back. He was playing on the right as an interior, right? So he can play that role as well. So, that honestly speaking, I mean, Mkhitaryan is a good substitute to have as a backup to Ozil, but you have to find a way to integrate Ozil. And you can say everything about, since, Anish, I know, keeps bringing up how many goals he has after signing his contract. But that's what we have right now. He's not going to leave now. He's not going to leave in the summer because nobody will take on those wages. You'll have trouble getting a good transfer fee for him. He's 30 now. You have to find a way to integrate. And if not top 4, which is going to be very tough to get, by the way, given our next stretch of games.
Yes.
You need to find a way to make sure you can get the best out of him in the Europa League, because that may be our only
correct.
to the Champions League right now, realistically speaking.
Also, Ananyo, to you on a few the contract issues. Ramsey is leaving. The club made a U-turn. Club didn't make. On the U-turn, the contract. Then they kind of slipped it off, took it back. Also, people have been discussing Ozil 350k a week, Mkhitaryan 100k a week, and Ramsey should get. Why is it Ramsey offered that? Lucas Perez being sold for 4 million, Jack Wilshere leaving for free, Ramsey going for free, players which we could have cashed in on and made sure that we'd improve our defensive side. And we are no strangers to seeing the shambolic handling of the contracts. Your take on the contract situations at Arsenal FC?
It's like, as you said, like it's horrible. It's absolutely like it's shambolic. Like it's so bad. Like the way we have played, like let the contracts run, and then panicking and giving someone like something which is like beyond our capabilities, and then that in turn is having a domino effect. And we could have easily sold Ramsey in the summer, in my opinion. We could have sold him in the summer. We could have got something in. We could have sold Alexis when we should have 60 million. Sell him. He was not going to stay. Sell him. If we didn't, at the last moment something happened, and then they went for 90 million for Lemar. That's another panic thing. It's full comedy. I think Siddha is an advocate of Ivan, but I think Ivan Gazidis has on the contract part with his partner in crime Dick Law has absolutely messed it up, and Arsene Wenger is at fault. Look at Carl Jenkinson. The guy never plays and he's on 62k. Torreira gets less than him.
So that's Arsene though. That's Arsene. Arsene had a socialist wage structure.
Exactly.
Even mediocre players got 56k a week, right? So we're still suffering because of that.
We are still suffering from that.
Yeah. Also, as far as Ivan's concerned, I am a proponent of Ivan because I don't look upon just the last 2 years of what Ivan did. We can discuss that when we come to the Kroenke section. But Ivan in parts did a good job. He put a structure in place which should make us successful. But I think he's being judged on the last couple of years. where I agree. I mean, like, 350K a week is probably not what we should be paying Ozil. It was clearly.
Also, I want to say one thing. He once famously said that we are keeping our powder dry. Like we will be spending heavily after a few years or something. Like he said, we are keeping our powder dry. So by the time he was about to spend heavily, the market just went boom, like
Yeah,
Pogba. Pog boom, and the market also went boom. So that's another
Yes.
that's another issue. Like he got it wrong there also.
No, I agree. I mean, we've traditionally been a very conservative club, guys. So, we've never, we're the last people who are going to go out and spend 100 million on a player. We were ready to do it for Mbappe, but that it's taken a lot to move from where we were under the Hillwoods and stuff, and the old board of directors. They were equally pretty bad.
Yeah,
And,
Jose
and
Jose Antonio and Jose Antonio Reyes was 18 million back then. That was our
Yeah.
highest for signing until Arshavin came in,
yeah.
and I think then after that we broke our records with Ozil 42.5, and then
Correct. And
yeah,
Reyes was spectacular for the
yes,
half season that he came in the winter transfer window. He was
Yeah,
unbelievably good. And then
unbelievably good.
that game in Old Trafford happened, complete travesty. I mean, I don't know if you guys have watched that game live, but I don't think I've ever been angrier. After a game, the amount of bad refereeing that went on in that game. That basically finished him as a player, and it completely mentally broke him. So, I mean, that's kind of a flashback, but yeah, we've been a conservative club. We've kind of relied on a few things to go our way. We thought that we didn't anticipate that Chelsea would come in and completely change the dynamics of how players are signed and what exorbitant amounts can be put in place. We didn't anticipate that Man City of all clubs would see the kind of investment they're seeing and turn
absolutely.
into the behemoth that they are. We then put all our eggs in the financial fair play basket, thinking that these clubs will now be curtailed. After UEFA's come in, so we made some missteps there. And the club is responsible for that. Arsene also needs to take some blame. He as far as that is concerned, he's been a company man. He's not necessarily come out and said anything against. You can take that as being a good employee, but you can also
Yeah.
take that as someone who's been collecting, his paycheck and not and is
Yeah.
happy to work under the conditions
Management.
that we put out for him. So we made some missteps there, but and I think that's one of the reasons why we didn't try to keep Gazidis as well, right? He oversaw the Arsene transition. I don't think there was much to do beyond the fact, and he's smart. He now knew that the focus is on Messi. So now he got that offer from Milan and he moved. So I hope Raul Sanley, a guy from Barcelona, probably has a better understanding of the European and South American market and the way things run in Europe more than Ivan, whose only real experience before this was running
The
MLS.
MLS.
Right.
Yeah. Like Raul is like I have great hopes from Raul. Like I think he is actually the right man. Like we have a very good backroom staff. In my opinion, like Ivan did this one good thing before he went. Like he set up a structure. Like I think we have a structure that can cope with it. Like we will be struggling, but we have a structure that can deal with it. Like we have competent professionals there. Previously, I don't think Dikla was a competent professional. Like whatever we have like read from the internet and how he dealt with how he negotiated, not really sounds like very competent or anything. Coming to the financial aspect, like FFP, Siddha, I just wanted to ask you, like FFP, we were banking on FFP, right? Once upon a time, that it would come and put the shackles on Chelsea and that big spenders, Man City, and all that stuff. But right now, what I'm hearing is we ourselves are getting like sucked into this FFP mess, which has actually is the main reason why we are like unable to spend money. It's not about just bad business or anything. It's that FFP is kind of like in a very ironic way stifling us to some extent. Just wanted to ask Siddha about that.
It's not
Yeah.
FFP. We are compliant as far as UEFA's FFP is concerned. There's no issue.
Okay.
But the Premier League has its own version of FFP. There's like
Okay.
PSR and STCC, short-term cost controls. So
Okay.
short-term cost controls basically says that your wages cannot go up by more than 7 million pounds a year,
Yeah.
unless and until those wages are funded by the revenue from a club, something like that. I don't have the exact details on hand, but there's like a lot of blogs and stuff about this that you can read. Some people think that some people say that, and the jury's out on that, that's an issue. I think we are treating that as an issue, which is why all this talk of us not being able to sign anyone, only loan. uh, and other people are saying that short-term cost controls will go out, will no longer be valid after this year, or they may not be reinstated, so we won't really have an issue.
Okay.
I think the truth is somewhere in between, and I think that is what's stifling us. But all this stems from the fact, guys, that we haven't sold well. So we should have sold Alexis
Absolutely.
at 60 million. We
Absolutely.
did not do
Absolutely.
anything to justify keeping him for 6 months and then swapping him for Mkhitaryan on larger wages than Alexis was on,
Alexis.
right?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and we somehow we held on to Ramsey. I won't really blame the club too much for that. We should have sold him, but then the understanding was that Ivan Gazidis was going to stay.
Yeah.
He had negotiated the contract renewal with Ramsey's agent and stuff, and then Ivan. So that dynamic changed completely. But again, he should have also been sold. And we're largely in this place because of our own doing. We should have had money to spend in this transfer window. This thing about only being able to loan players, we should not be in this position. This is utter bullshit. I mean, that's pardon my French, but we should have the money to at least sign a winger, whether that's 18 million, 20, 25 million. We should be operating in that range, or a centre back.
Yeah.
We're not going to get a Kalidou Koulibaly in this window. It's
No
not.
way.
Yeah.
No, to be very honest, I think defender we cannot buy in this window. Like people are shouting for a defender, but the quality of defender that we need, to be very honest, you won't. You will get a Mikhail Sylvester in this window. That's it. Like, that's the quality we'll get.
I think we can get the yard. So basically, the bar is Koscielny, whose legs are gone. Then Mustafi, who can't stay on his feet, who's good but can't stay on his feet. And I say good, tongue in cheek,
relatively,
really good games where he will make a couple of mistakes that he can get by with, and then he'll have like complete brain farts. I think I think we'll probably try and sell him in the summer, because I think there's so much animosity against him at the club right now.
Also, he came close to leaving a season back, I think, to Inter Milan. So
correct, and then decided to stay. And then I think Emery probably kept him around because he knows Spanish, and that's a big big deal, right?
That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Seen him play in La Liga and thought he could improve him.
Yeah, and coming to one more issue that we have to discuss. That's Mr. Stan Kroenke. That for our viewers watching, many of us just tend to jump to conclusions. No offense to anyone who will watch this. 10 years, but you've been a fan since 1998. You've seen the David Wenger era at its peak. Then you've seen the Emirates move, and then you've seen all these things that have panned out over the years, dealt with contracts. But the thing is that Stan Kroenke is Stan Kroenke the real problem? Stan Kroenke, and do you think that something should be done? People are saying let's not buy stuff from the shops, let's boycott or boycott the games. But how do you think is Stan Kroenke and his investments affecting the club?
Very good question. I've been labeled a Kroenke defender just because I don't lay all the blame on him. like I said, I blame the Cronkies and the management they put in place for not being able to move on players, uh, for the right amount. So holding on to players too long, for giving out, exorbitant contracts. Our wage bill is a Champions League wage bill, but we're a Europa League team right now. Uh, I don't blame the Cronkies for not investing their own money. That's such a misnomer. I mean, you really want the football. The way a football club is run is PSG, Man City, and Chelsea are exceptions. I mean, their owners have put in their own personal wealth into the club as like loans that don't have to be paid back, shares, and they're not expecting it back. I mean, that's just not going to happen with an American owner. And if not, do you really want Arsenal Football Club to be run in a benefactor model? I mean, is that really? I mean, one of the reasons we support this club is because of the way we have managed to get to where we are, whether that's good or bad right now, in a self-sustaining manner. It has always been this way. We have changed from being very conservative to slightly conservative, and I think that's still there, and that's why one of the reasons why Kroenke was the one who all the old board of directors sold their shares to. Let's look at the Kroenke era. I mean, the Kroenkes are the ones who sanctioned. Even before we signed Ozil, we were trying to sign players for big sums, right? There was a window where I remember we made a last-minute deadline day bid for Jan Mbila. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
Still doing his medical. Still doing his medical.
Last I heard, he was in Russia. I don't know what happened after that.
After that, nobody knows.
And then he came back to the Premier League and played for some
Sunderland, I think. Sunderland.
Yeah, and so I think on that day we made a bid for Mvila. There was a couple of other highly rated French players, I think, that were linked around that time. So that's around the time we tried to start signing players. I mean, we signed Cazorla for 16 million the year. Yeah, and it was a steal, right? But it is still a big amount compared to what we were used to spending. We signed Callum Chambers for 16 million. That's unheard of.
That was a big thing, like that time. Like,
correct.
To sign an absolute nobody for 60 million, that was a big thing.
Correct. We gave big wages at that time to somebody like Podolski, who we got to show Van Persie that there was like a statement of intent or something like that, right? That we were trying to sign players and stuff. So they've been making changes in the background. Our commercial deals coming out of when we signed up for the Emirates sponsorship for the new stadium were awful. The old Nike kit deal was awful. Gazidis, the Cronkies bought in Gazidis, who renegotiated to the new Puma deal, which made our revenue go up significantly. So like early on, Gazidis did a lot of good work making sure that our commercial income improved. Of course, then Man United and other teams just started blowing commercial deals out of the water. They're a machine. They will continue to keep growing like that. But we can't obviously compete at that level. But we can always keep getting better. So the Kroenkes have overseen a period of sustained spending, largely funded by our continued presence in the Champions League. So I don't think that's an issue. I'm slightly proud of the fact that they haven't had to put in their own money. I mean, could they have sold better? Definitely. We addressed that earlier. Will there be money in the summer? Yes, there will be money again because we renegotiated our commercial deals better. But I think a lot of the Kroenke hate is coming from bad results. You don't hear this Kroenke problem when we are doing well, right? When we're thrashing Fulham, then this was not a problem. This last week it's a problem because Unai said we can only loan players. And I think history will judge them better. They're not going to sell the club. Stan Kroenke is not going to sell an asset in London. He's put money into the LA Rams, who are playing a playoff game right now, divisional game right now. They're behind, but he's put a lot of money in there. So it's not like he won't spend the money. And please don't go into these conspiracy theories that us going to the LA Rams or the Denver Nuggets and stuff. They're all individually funded. The Kroenkes are really wealthy. I mean, his wife, he's richer than Abramovich, by the way. Just so you know.
Exactly.
His wife is richer than Abramovich. So combined wealth of the Cronkies of Anne and Stan Kroenke is more than Roman Abramovich and pick and Moshiri, or put 2 or 3 clubs together, they can, but they just don't operate that way. They're not going to. They're businessmen. They will operate in that sustained business model.
But
And
I have to like interject in between. Like I understand that they are like they don't operate in that way. It's understandable. I don't want them to become a sheikh or something and turn Arsenal into Chelsea or a City. We are not we don't need a sugar daddy in that sense. But recently this thing from Swiss Ramble came out and they showed that zero. They invested $0, £0,
Yeah.
€0, €0, whatever you say, into the club. Like that's something which surprised me, considering the fact that FSG at Liverpool actually I think they invested quite a bit to fund their new like stand and everything. So I think right now we need some investment from Kroenke from his pockets. Like it's coming to that stage where if we try to play the long game, and don't get it right, we are in like we are staring down the rabbit hole. Then it becomes a problem. So in my opinion,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no,
sure, yeah.
Sorry.
No problem.
I think you'll see that. I think you'll see that eventually, because we tried that last year, right? The money we spent on Aubameyang was a complete in American football terms Hail Mary to try and get us into the Champions League. It didn't work out because by that time too much damage was done, right? And we did see an uptick in results once Auba came in and started scoring those goals for fun and stuff. So I think they've been a little burnt by that. They won't do that in this winter transfer window,
I also
even though we may need it. But if we are out, they need the club to be in the Champions League, right? So they are not going to sell the club. They're going to stay with the club. It's going to be with them for a while. And if we are not in the Champions League, you will see that money come in, whether that's however they put it in. You will see investment put into the club. You'll also see managers move out faster. Now, if Unai doesn't perform, he's gone at the end of next year.
I also think so.
Yeah, so that era is gone. If people, I think a lot of the stress people have right now is they're thinking, oh, we're going to be stuck with another late era RSM for the next 8 years. No, that's not.
That's not going to.
Again, the FSG put in money into Liverpool, but we don't need a new stand. I mean, we're not even filling our existing stadium right now because our results aren't good, right? We don't need a new training ground. It's all paid for. We were smart. We sold property and we sold players and built training grounds. We funded Cobham by selling Anelka.
Yes. I was going to get there. Yeah, correct.
So exactly.
Colney, I would say Colney. Cobham is Chelsea.
Colney. Sorry, it's late. It's late. And this is water.
It's still to kick in. Okay, but guys, it's been a great episode. Considering the fact that this episode might just offer everyone a broader view, considering the fact that many of them are Arsenal fans post the Ozil signing, is what I have come across. Some that have just labeled themselves as Arsenal fans since 2007, but it's history, because you go on Twitter, boom, take them, copy paste it to WhatsApp, spread publicity. I know we lose. I know everyone is entitled to their opinions, but this is the broader outlook of fans who have been supporting the club for 2 decades, and 2 decades is obviously a very big time.
I think we just have to bite the bullet at this moment. It's about biting the bullet for the next 6 months, just weathering the storm, and just if we are lucky, if we win the Europa, get lucky and get into the UCL Champions League, it will be a bonus. But I think, as Siddharth said, that it's already this season is a wash. We have to treat it that way. We somehow, if I would be happy just by seeing some improvements, which won't remind me of the late Arsenal era. I just need that, and for that, I am frustrated because I think the team is still struggling to have a coherent playing style which defines them.
Yeah.
That's my biggest issue. I think we will be getting Denis Suarez. I'm pretty sure we will be getting Denis Suarez, and I think Denis Suarez in the short term is a decent deal, considering that the price I'm expecting it not to be very high. Like it should be around 15 to 15 million euros should do it on a permanent basis if they want him obviously in the summer. But I think Denis Suarez will be a good squad signing. But I'm hopeful that in the summer things will change, things will start to move because it better start moving. Otherwise, it will be a problem for the Kroenkes itself if the club like spends too many years outside the Champions League. It becomes
Right.
ever so increasingly difficult to get into it.
Correct.
Yeah.
I
So
absolutely agree there.
yeah, and before we end on
Yeah,
this episode, we are done for this episode.
yeah,
Predictions as to where we finish at the end of the season. I know just January, but a prediction that you've seen 20 seasons unfold, and I'm sure you have something in your mind. Like, where do you see, and how do you see us winning the FA Cup again? Do you see us winning the Europa League? I'm going to go straight to Siddha first, then you, Ananyo, and your predictions.
In the league, I think it's going to be tough. I think we have a stretch of very tough games coming up. Unless something magically changes overnight, we may beat Chelsea at home. We will struggle against City away, and United are kind of rejuvenated and always find a way to play against us. So in the league, it's going to be touch and go. I anticipate we'll finish fifth or sixth. I would love it if we did fourth, but in order for us to get to fourth, we are going to have to put together another run like we did in the beginning. And this is going to be like we need more wins than we need draws, right? So I think in the league, I don't have expectations. I anticipate we'll be again fifth or sixth. FA Cup is dicey, right? I mean, it really depends on if we get past United and who else makes it through. I think Emery will focus on the Europa League. He knows that tournament.
yeah,
He's won it 3 times. He knows how to navigate through a tournament like that. So ask him
exactly.
for all the beautiful things that he did, just didn't know how to manage a knockout tournament or manage two-legged ties. I mean, up after the Champions League
After the
in
Champions League.
2006, right? So I have hopes as far as the Europa League is concerned. It is the pot is actually tougher this year than it was last year, even with Atletico not being there. But I think our best chance of success comes from the Europa League. So if I'm very optimistic, we have a chance of getting to the Europa League final. Whether we win it is up to the players and the manager. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to on the
Yeah, I think in the league it's going to be tough. Like it's I can't see them finishing in the top four, to be very honest. Like I think we are going to like finish if I extrapolate this run of form and nothing magical happens, then we are destined for sixth. And like I would say that it's better to finish sixth than fifth because I don't really want the Europa League next season. I would rather
Yeah.
just us focusing on the league. And
Correct.
when it comes to the Europa League, I think we have a chance. Like in the Europa League, we have a chance, and it's Emery's speciality, and I think it's one of the key reasons why he was also appointed. Like we should really like. I think by mid-February we will know where we stand
Right.
in the league. Truly, where we can end, and we can like last year again focus on the Europa League. Only this season, I'm hopeful that we won't be like there is no Atletico, right? So there, I think there is Napoli is one big team that is there.
Yeah.
But I think it's easier to play Napoli than Atletico, and so in that sense, I think Europa League is we have like a better chance, and I'm hopeful that we will go far in the Europa League.
So, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this very first Sunday morning live episode. Yeah, it's Saturday.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Saturday night.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's Saturday night in it's Sunday morning, early morning in Germany.
Yeah, Sunday morning.
Finally,
Morning.
and I've been wanting to do this since a long time, and
Yeah.
finally we have had this, we can probably just do it on a regular basis, just to make sure that we can offer our most broader views, broader part. Generally, people tend to flip these days, and
Those episodes are also nice. Don't worry.
Yeah, those episodes are also nice.
but thank you once again, and
No,
it's 7:25 in India, so we've had a
yeah,
this has been a lengthy episode, and make sure to share this episode, guys, with all the clan you have on.
yeah, yeah,
Yep,
for
Also
sure,
absolutely.
sure,
posted in
sure.
FIOB, because there are fans who are
Yeah,
that's a very active group. It gets
yeah.
so I hope this title doesn't baffle anyone. It's just our way of offering a broader view, the other side of the graph, like two sides of a coin, and
Exactly.
by Siddharth Mehra of the Kronki thing. So to see you all. Hope to see you all in future as well. Next Sunday as well. With I'm
Hope so, hopefully.
sure the Chelsea, we can talk something about Chelsea, the Chelsea match, and
Yeah,
really be happy after the game.
Mm,
So thank you once again,
no
and
problem.
just signing off with that saying, see you. Bye.
Bye.